Tonight on News 5 Live, Waterloo writes to NGO Senator Janelle Chanona, highlighting an apparent double standard by the environmental community regarding Port of Magical Belize. The battle of the Deputy Commissioners of Police goes before the High Court on Friday. And in tonight's episode of Belize on Reel, we'll take you to Sartaneja on a unique fishing expedition. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Whether you're in a bustling urban area or a tranquil rural community, connectivity matters. Internet access is key to continued socioeconomic development. That is why Digi, our national telecom, has and will continue to invest millions of dollars to expand its mobile and fiber networks throughout Belize. Thousands of mobile users and households, especially along the highways and in rural communities, are now enjoying the benefits of Digi's resilient infrastructure. Our national telecom will continue to lead the charge towards digital transformation by utilizing cutting-edge technology and maintaining an unwavering dedication to excellence. With our DigiWallet solution, Belizeans in urban and rural areas now have easy and safe access to a wide array of financial services via their mobile devices. And with the recent launch of DigiTV, Digi has made history, becoming the only quad play service provider in Belize. Now, customers can save with our DigiOne bundles that offer home internet, mobile, home phone, and DigiTV services all in one place. Digi is committed to providing all communities with access to high-quality, reliable, and affordable services while unlocking untapped potential and opening the doors to a brighter future for all. Be a part of the transformation and experience connectivity like never before. Because with Digi, connectivity matters.
Hats off to awesome grads and capes on for super dads. Enjoy stunning deals, giveaways, and savings from Cellular World for the dads and grads. Get up to 50% off the Samsung A04e or TCL A30 phones when you buy select phone models. Or 50% off the JBL Bluetooth Kids headphones when you buy any tablet. Select purchases comes with free surge protectors, gaming controllers, and wireless chargers. Wow, Dad! And celebrate that grad without breaking the bank. Shop at any of our 5 locations in Belize City, Belmopan, or San Pedro, or via our virtual store on Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp at 615-5141. Celebrate Dad and cheer on the grad with an amazing gift from Cellular World.
Here are 6 easy changes that you can make around your home to cut down on your average electricity usage. Check that all electrical appliances are working efficiently. Use energy-saving light bulbs such as LED. They are very bright, have a lower wattage requirement, and use less energy. Unplug appliances not in use. Iron clothes sparingly. Place the refrigerator thermostat at medium. Wash clothes on a shorter cycle and wait for a full load. Washing machines use the same amount of energy despite the size of the load, and choosing a short cycle is more energy efficient. Belize Electricity Limited advises you to save energy and save more.
Here's your chance. The stage is waiting. We're looking for talented Belizean singers for another season of KTV The Remix. KTV auditions will take place on Saturday, June 3rd and Sunday, June 11th, starting at 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Channel 5 on Coney Drive in Belize City. We're also now accepting online submissions. 2-minute videos can be emailed to producer@channel5belize.com or DM KTV Remix on Facebook. Deadline, Sunday, June 11th at 5 p.m. Come be a part of the biggest singing competition of the year. KTV The Remix, only on Channel 5.
Imagine a world where sending and receiving payments between credit unions and banks is fast, safe, and reliable. A Belize, where access to financial services is available to all Belizeans. Well, that future is now. The Central Bank of Belize has taken a big step forward in improving the national payments infrastructure, allowing for greater connectivity. By integrating the Shared Services Network, SSN, a company formed by the Belize Credit Union League to act as an operator of credit unions. SSN has joined banks as a participant in the Automated Payment and Securities Settlement System, or APS. What this means for us is that credit union members and bank customers can now make electronic payments quickly, safely, and securely anywhere in Belize. The flow of payment has never been smoother. The Holy Redeemer, St. Francis Xavier, and St. Martin's credit unions are already connected to the SSN, with more credit unions preparing to join the network. This integration in apps will allow you as a credit union member to make faster payments and empowers credit unions to take charge of their members' payment and settlement services. The Central Bank of Belize is committed to ensuring the continuous development of the national payment system and to facilitate the exchange of money between transacting parties in Belize, connecting credit unions and banks for faster, easier payments. Coming soon. Please contact your credit union for more information.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, June 8th. I am Sabrina Daly. Portico Enterprises Limited intends to dredge 8.5 million cubic meters of material from the seabed in order to build a peninsula at the proposed site for the Port of Magical Belize, and the environmental community has remained eerily quiet on the matter. It's a stark difference to the public concerns that were raised when the Port of Belize Limited proposed to unearth 7.5 million cubic meters for its expansion project in Port Layola. That radio silence from the NGO community has prompted Stuart Howard, Chief Executive Officer for Waterloo Holdings Limited, to write to Senator Janelle Chanona. In a letter that was sent to the Vice President of Oceania Belize earlier today, Howard brings attention to the fact that there has been no public response to the issue being raised in respect of Portico's intent to dredge a significant amount of material in that area of Belize District. Howard goes on to say, quote, "A review of the timeline of the Portico project shows unfair treatment and reaction that was meted out by the environmental conservation community to Waterloo when compared to Portico, especially when one considers the scale of the environmental impact that Portico's Port of Magical Belize represents. Disturbingly, Portico's dredging, artificial peninsula, and docking facilities for Oasis-class cruise ships will be situated only 8 miles from the Southern Lagoon Manatee Reserve and its outlet, the Manatee River. Is this not of concern to the conservation community?" End quote. The CEO of Waterloo proceeds to identify what appears to be a double standard and then compares the sequence of events leading up to the signing of Portico's definitive agreement, which was executed 4 months after Portico held its only public consultation for the project. Tonight, we'll take a closer look at the state of cruise tourism development in Belize. 3 companies, including Stake Bank, Portico Enterprise, and Waterloo Holdings, are in legal disputes with the government of Belize regarding the construction of additional cruise ports in the Belize District Harbor. It's a complicated and bitter affair for all parties involved. And in the following special report, News 5's Isani Cayetano sheds light on what's taking place in that hotly contested space. Here's that story.
Everybody says State Bank. State Bank.
When ground was broken in February 2019 for a new cruise terminal to be built 2 miles off the coast of Belize City, the tourism development project known as Port Coral had a specific timeline. A docking facility to accommodate the world's largest cruise ships would be constructed on State Bank by 2024.
The Atlantic Bank is the lead organizer for this, for the money for this project, which is $67 million on the island, and a total of about $82 million before this project is done.
That was a little over 4 years ago. Since then, work on building a first-rate facility on the island has taken place, and millions of dollars have been invested in the project. Despite the significant progress that has been made, it's still a long way from completion. It is not likely that Port Coral will be ready to meet the target set by its principals. Aside from an apparent delay in the work schedule, State Bank Enterprise, which owns Port Coral, is also before the court. The Feinstein Group is fighting for exclusivity in developing a cruise port in the Belize District Harbor. The company has brought a lawsuit against the Attorney General, as well as the National Environmental Appraisal Committee (NEAC) and the Department of the Environment. In those proceedings, Portico and Waterloo have joined as interested parties.
The applicants, Waterloo and their associated companies, were aware of this case for some time, but were not being sued. They were not named as a party, and thought the matter was entirely one between State Bank, the DOE, NEAC, and, as you say, Port Magical. However, it came to their attention at a fairly late juncture that if State Bank succeeded with the claim, the nature of the orders given would affect them as well. And therefore, because of that, they said, well, we have a sufficient interest. We stand to be affected by this. If State Bank succeeds, it would mean that after we get EIA approval, or if we get EIA approval, they could bring similar proceedings as they've brought against Port Magical and say that we're not entitled to proceed because either they have an exclusive right or they weren't consulted.
On June 5th, Senior Counsel Glenn Godfrey, on behalf of State Bank Enterprise, wrote to the Attorney General under Section 3 of the Public Authorities Protection Act. That letter goes on to read, quote, "We wish to remind the GOB that such actions are in clear violation of the unambiguous and unequivocal promise and assurance given by them to our client under the State Bank Definitive Agreement. Further, it is our client's belief that by comparison, the proposed fiscal incentives as stated in the Port of Magical Belize Definitive Agreement, if accepted, amounts to preferential treatment," end quote.
The Prime Minister and Cabinet all met, and when that definitive agreement was brought to Cabinet, the Prime Minister made it absolutely clear that the definitive agreement must go back for review. There will be no less or no more added to what Harvest Key or State Bank or any other definitive agreement that is out there.
A recent trip to State Bank brings to light a number of observations, including the fact that many of the structures are unfinished. Piles align the southern flank of the island. A dock, however, is yet to be erected. Not far from those jutting columns is a partially submerged vessel. News 5 understands that a team of engineers from Panama last reported to work there in April. What should have been a construction site teeming with activity is little more than a handful of laborers wandering about the island. It's unclear whether funds for the project have dried up, but work has seemingly ground to a halt. The biggest challenge for Port Coral is getting visitors from State Bank to the mainland. No causeway has been approved, and tendering is the only other means of transporting tourists to Belize City.
What excites us is the ships that are being built today are bigger. We are not able to tender passengers from the bigger ships. So that's number one. Having a tender port is not an option with the bigger ships. We have to be able to berth. In addition, right here and now, when we tender passengers in, the crew are not able to get off because we don't have enough time. So just looking at the opportunity that a facility of that magnitude offers to Belize in terms of what the economic impact is. Number one, the ships are about 40% bigger, so you get 40% more passengers. In addition, for every passenger, there's a half a crew member. So if it's a 6,000 passenger ship, you're talking about 3,000 crew members that are able to come and spend money.
Port Coral is roughly 11 miles from Port of Magical Belize, a 15-minute boat ride from the mouth of the Sibun River. It promises all the necessary features for larger cruise ships to berth without having to tender passengers to the mainland. The definitive agreement granted by the government in October 2020 stipulates that no third party competing with the developer shall, within a 25-mile radius, be given any tax benefits or duty concessions for a period of 25 years from the commencement date. Lord Michael Ashcroft is the principal for Waterloo Holdings. The company's plans for expanding the port of Belize and building a cruise terminal in Port Loyola have been rejected. That situation is headed to litigation. Nonetheless, Ashcroft contends that Royal Caribbean, which entered into a memorandum of understanding with Portico a few weeks ago, ought to have known that the terms and conditions of the definitive agreement do not exist in any other country.
Royal Caribbean either knew or should have known that this contract was something that they had never seen in any other jurisdiction, but yet questions weren't asked. So a lot to play for. This could be sorted out very quickly, but with all the vested interests, it's probably going to go on for some time.
The letter from GDG, also in reference to Portico's definitive agreement, makes an urgent undertaking on or before June 8th, today, that the government of Belize declares that, quote, the Port of Magical Belize definitive agreement is in fact null and void, and will refrain from taking any steps to pass and or enact any primary and or subsidiary legislation in furtherance of the Port of Magical Belize's definitive agreement, unquote.
As a Minister of Health, as sit in cabinet, I've heard a lot of issues that being said that ministers were, that was not true. The discussion came to cabinet, it was ventilated and was sent back for review, for revision, so that they can come back with a proper definitive agreement. The UDP definitive agreement, I must say, is bad for Belize.
Prime Minister John Briceño is presently out of the country. In responding to News 5 earlier today, he said, quote, Cabinet has asked both Anthony Mahler and Chris Koyi to meet the developers and work out an agreement that's more reasonable to both sides, end quote. But there are still numerous concerns regarding the Port of Magical Belize, particularly the environmental risks involved. The location of the project sits on pristine coastal mangrove forests, and a terrestrial survey accompanying its environmental impact assessment indicates extremely high biodiversity. The coral reef spans the length of the shoreline, and for the purpose of the Port of Magical Belize, it is within its zone of influence. There's also a maximum dredge volume of 8.5 million cubic meters, 1 million cubic meters more than what the Port of Belize is expecting. The concern is that the greater the quantity of material being dredged, the greater the likelihood of environmental impact. All of this would be taking place within an ecologically sensitive habitat, an area where manatees are present. So, what environmental considerations, if any, were given to this project?
Can the South handle that port?
I think that all the ports, we have to look at them very carefully. And I have always been one that, even on the media, on the show, I will say that we have to look at the capacity that we have for the amount of cruise passengers that we have. I have always said that if the tourism industry is telling us for years that one type of tourism is better than the other, then maybe we should promote the other more than one. So if overnight tourism is better than cruise ship tourism, then that's the way we should go. But it is something that we have to plan. It can't be a 5-year plan. It can't be a government of the day plan. It has to be a long-term plan.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
As we reported earlier this week, Deputy Commissioner of Police Bart Jones wants DCP Dr. Richard A. Rosado's appointment date squashed. Through his attorney, DCP Jones has filed an application seeking judicial review against the Security Services Commission's decision to appoint Dr. Rosado to the post as Deputy Commissioner of Police. The claim is that the July 1st, 2021 appointment should be nullified because at the time there was no vacancy and Dr. Rosado did not meet the necessary promotion requirements. Jones feels jilted, claiming that Dr. Rosado's appointment stripped him of the seniority that he had over DCP Rosado. Now, this matter will be heard before Justice Genevieve Chabot on Friday, but does it create a rift within the department? Compol Chester Williams commented on the situation, and here's what he had to say.
We have to understand that we are living in a more litigious society. We have more and more liars. In some cases, some have nothing to do. People are more educated. They know their rights. And based on that, we are seeing litigations taking place, even for things that in the past, people would not even dare bother to litigate. As a citizen of this country, and as a police officer, Mr. Jones do have a right if he feels that his rights has been violated or he was unfairly dealt with in a certain manner. He have a right to take the matter before the courts and let the courts decide on whether or not his claim is one that has merits or if it is frivolous or vexatious. I can tell you that working with both Mr. Jones and Mr. Rosado, they seem to have a very good working relationship in terms of respecting each other. I don't see any animosity between them, and I expect moving forward that that is going to be the case. Whatever the outcome of the case is going to be, we're not going to allow that to distract us. We have a mandate before us that we must carry out, and we are going to ensure that the mandate is carried through to the best of our ability. I was the one who wrote the recommendation for Dr. Rosado promotion. And when your news director had interviewed me in 2021, following Mr. Rosado's promotion, no, 2022, that was I think in February of 2022, I had said to him that I support Mr. Rosado's promotion. So I don't know how you arrive at me opposing his promotion. I have no axe to grind between the two gentlemen. I have no difficulty working with both of them. If a matter of fact, as the captain of the ship, I am the one who has to make sure that we stay together. And I always believe in choosing peace over violence and unity over division.
Coming up, Minister of Health says $90 million Belmopan hospital investment is forward-thinking. Find out the details of these stories when we come back.
Well, Michael, this is your new home and your new family. I am sure you will like it here.
Welcome, Michael.
Welcome, Michael. We're good to have you. We've been waiting.
And this will be your room.
Thank you, God, for my new family and my new home. This is all I ever wanted.
All children, even teenagers, deserve and desire a loving family and a safe home. Contact the Department of Human Services to find out how you can become a foster or adoptive parent and be that heart of gold.
8 miles. That's all that separates the Southern Lagoon Manatee Reserve and its outlet, the Manatee River, from the dredging, the building of an artificial peninsula, and the docking of Oasis-class cruise ships. How did David Gegg get approval for his EIA, where other port projects didn't, when he's building so close to a protected area, dredging more than any other project, and docking ships 5 times larger than the Titanic, all in the marine life corridor of a protected species? Why did the Department of the Environment approve Portico's environmentally disastrous plan when they cancelled all others? Why did the Prime Minister push to get the definitive agreement passed in the House?
I can tell you why. Ask him. You can't deny it. His good friend has all the land. He has all the land. I have long said that Portico was the favored port project. The perceived, and now we can say, the actual prejudices suffered by other port projects.
Prime Minister Briceño's government recently stopped Vulcan Materials from mining near Dales Point, Manatee.
That area has a lot of history for Belize, and so obviously, and also environmentally is important. That's a very important catchment area for water. So we don't think it's in the national interest of Belize, and it ends there.
But PM Briceño will allow for an EIA granted on the basis of a fraudulent definitive agreement that allows Buscalis to dredge 8.5 million cubic meters, an entire blue hole's worth of sediment, and allow Portico to build an entire artificial peninsula just 8 miles north of the Southern Lagoon Manatee Reserve and the Manatee River.
For sure you will have massive environmental damages. I mean, you're talking about animals or marine life, our pikiti, turtles, manatees, fishes, trees. Those will never be the same. And to what end? Why do we want to go down that road? The truth of the matter is that a wealthy multinational will just exploit our raw resources.
I am saying that I support the protection of the environment.
So why the double standard, Mr. Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister needs to come forward and make a lucid statement. A part of the job is public accountability.
Kevin Bernard, the Minister of Health and Wellness, is throwing his full support behind the Briceño administration's plan to construct a $90 million tertiary-level hospital in Belmopan. This morning, he explained that the Western Regional Hospital's infrastructure is in an irreparable state. He even invited the media on a tour of the facility to witness the disrepair firsthand. It is an offer we intend to take him up on. The newly proposed hospital is also expected to serve as a learning institution for medical practitioners. Here is what Minister Bernard told us when we caught up with him in Belize City.
The facility is condemned. We need to make the right investment. And I will say this, $150 million was invested by the previous administration on a Caracol Road. Investing in health is critical. And this is why we support the need for us to build that hospital. Now, what other benefits this will bring? It will not only, so we are looking at an approach, it's forward thinking. We need to have vision, not just for 5 years or 10 years, but we need to look down the road. And so while it will provide a secondary care for the people of Belmopan, it will provide some level of tertiary service for the immediate, which is ICU. So we want to have the intensive care unit set up there. And then long term, it will then be a full-fledged, fully tertiary hospital with secondary care for the people in the surrounding area. And also, when KHMH are in issues, when we have issues, natural disaster, where do we take those patients? Where do we have to find to send those patients that are critically ill? They go to Belmopan, they go to Oridro. So why can't we then not invest in something that will be able to provide a response for our tertiary, person who need tertiary care? We have to ensure that the University of Belize will also link, so the medical side of it will link with a certified institution. We're looking at possibly like in Mexico or in the Guatemala area. So those are the discussions that are being had to link so that we can be able to have these specialized persons come in and train our people here in country.
As we have reported, the KHMH Workers Union has called the construction of the hospital into question. The concern is that a shortage of nurses and doctors already exists. It is a concern that the Minister of Health says his ministry is continuously working to address, adding that the medical training component of the proposed hospital in Belmopan is a part of their solution. We also asked Minister Bernard for an update on a pending collective bargaining agreement that will be presented to the KHMH management. Back in February, when union members protested the shortage and quality of medical supplies at the hospital, it was agreed that they would spend the next 6 months drafting the CBA. 4 months have passed. Here's what the Minister of Health told us today.
Remember, what was said at that last strategic meeting that we had was the union had to go back to come up with a collective bargaining agreement which will work in tandem with the KHMH authority. And so the ball is in their hands, in their court, to come up. They had been given, Nurse Baird was given, as the president representing the union, was given enough time already and was extended. But let me say this, I know that there have been constant engagement by the board. We have a new chairman, and he has been very proactive in his approach. In fact, I have a meeting with him tomorrow to discuss the plans that he has seen within KHM and how we can go and address some of the same things you're talking about. But the MOU, or what we call the collective bargaining agreement, is not an overnight plan. It has to ensure that it's well thought out. It has to benefit the institution, the employees, and of course the benefits of all, which at the end are the patients who visit the institution.
Of the many demands brought forward by the KHMH Workers Union over the months, one of them will soon become a reality. The government of Belize has purchased a CT scan for the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, according to the Minister of Health. This morning, he informed reporters that a brand new state-of-the-art CT scan will be up and running at the KHMH in the next few months.
CT scan is almost in country, purchased by the supplier, and will be installed at KHMH pretty soon. State-of-the-art CT scan. So KHMH will shortly have its CT scan where we'll be able to provide that needed and essential service to the Belizean people. Now, we have to remember that when the bid went out, we called for 128 slice CT scan, one of the highest grade CT scan, not the 16 slice or the 24 slice you see around. We want to be able to give our people better quality. Let me add this. We're talking about digital transformation, correct? You want to be able to communicate and provide better quality of service, and having a quality CT scan, you could check the market out there. It's costly coming in country. And remember, this package does not only include the purchasing of the CT scan, it includes a 5-year maintenance plan, the entire upfitting of the entire unit that has to be done. So the supplier has to incorporate all of that in its cost that he has, and to be able to provide necessary in-house training. So there will be technical people coming in to provide additional training to the people at KHMH to be able to provide quality service utilizing that new CT scan that will be there.
The sexual assault accusation against Punta Gorda town radiologist Desmond Arzu is currently being investigated by police. Reports are that Minister Bernard was among the first persons that the 23-year-old victim reached out to with her complaint. But it wasn't until some time after that Arzu was charged for the crime of sexual assault and placed on interdiction. When we caught up with the Minister of Health in Belize City this morning, he was asked about the email he received from the alleged victim and the initial response he gave her.
I will say this because this matter is now in the hands of the police, and I would not want to engage in anything. I know that from the very beginning that the email came to me. My team have been on the ground communicating with the victim, the purported victim, and we took the necessary action that we have to be taken. Again, I will leave that as that. I want to ensure that the proper process goes through, and wherever the chips lie, let them lie. That is where it is in our position. We will not and will never condone any level of abuse, whether it is in the private sector or the public sector. The Medical Council also got a copy of the letter and had taken necessary review that will take place.
After the break, EcoTour promotes protecting Belize's marine resources and wildlife for tomorrow's generation. We'll tell you more on that, but first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
Miles. That's all that separates the Southern Lagoon Manatee Reserve and its outlet, the Manatee River, from the dredging, the building of an artificial peninsula, and the docking of Oasis-class cruise ships. How did David Gegg get approval for his EIA, where other port projects didn't? When he's building so close to a protected area, dredging more than any other project, and docking ships 5 times larger than the Titanic, all in the marine life corridor of a protected species. Why did the Department of the Environment approve Portico's environmentally disastrous plan when they cancelled all others? Why did the Prime Minister push to get the definitive agreement passed in the House?
I can tell you why. Ask him. He can't deny it. His good friend has all the land. He has all the land. I have long said that Portico was the favored port project. The perceived, and now we can say the actual prejudices suffered by other port projects.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
The Belize Tourism Board, in collaboration with the Belize City Council and DigiWallet, present the Belize International Music and Food Festival. Savor the Rhythm Pre-Festival Tour, Belize City, Saturday, June 10th from 7 p.m. to midnight at the Digi Park. The Belize International Music and Food Festival Pre-Festival Jam is officially arriving in Belize City. Cash prizes and professional music studio recording session will be awarded. Find out who will be the big winner of the Belize International Music and Food Festival Platinum Ultra Packages. Also, the big Coca-Cola Get Your Magic On reveal at the Digi Park. After party with TR Shine and Band. Come sign up for your DigiWallet and get free cash in your DigiWallet. It's the Belize International Music and Food Festival Savor the Rhythm Pre-Festival Tour, Belize City. Sponsors include Smart, Coca-Cola, Belikin, the Belize City Council, Angela's Press, and Travelers Liquors.
Prime Minister Briceño's government recently stopped Vulcan materials from mining near Dales Point, Manatee.
That area has a lot of history for Belize, and so obviously, and also environmentally, it's important. That's a very important catchment area for water. So we don't think it's in the national interest of Belize, and it ends there.
but PM Briceño will allow for an EIA granted on the basis of a fraudulent definitive agreement that allows Buscalis to dredge 8.5 million cubic meters, an entire blue hole's worth of sediment, and allow Portico to build an entire artificial peninsula just 8 miles north of the Southern Lagoon Manatee Reserve and the Manatee River.
For sure you will have massive environmental damages. I mean, you're talking about animals or marine life, our picketed turtles, manatees, fishes, trees. Those will never be the same. And to what end? Why do we want to go down that road? The truth of the matter is that a wealthy multinational will just exploit our raw resources.
I am saying that I support the protection of the environment.
So why the double standard, Mr. Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister needs to come forward and make a lucid statement. A part of the job is public accountability.
I think that 27 dropped tonight, huh? Why you think so? Tonight I think that 24.
Now Belize, you have rice and beans, chips and dip, bolido, and son de la tre. Bolido, that is part of our national identity. And as much as most of we may enjoy it here and there, the bottom line is, one company had 100% ownership of it. And nothing wrong with owning a business, you know. But when it comes to we Bolido, you can't own that and be transparent. You can't report on winnings and sales when you feel like. You can't audit the machine when you feel like. And you definitely can't hide the records under your mattress. But no, that Bolido and Sunday will be for we again. We will be able to enjoy the excitement and profits of it. And that's a double win for us.
Today was observed as World Oceans Day, and Monday was World Environmental Day. In tandem with these days, the Corozal Sustainable Future Initiative, CSFI, organized an eco-tour of selected locations in Corozal to showcase to the media the steps they are making towards sustainably managing the resources around them to benefit today's and future generations. The first part of the tour took reporters to a site where fishermen engage in beach traps, a sustainable method of fishing that dates back to the Mayas. Today's tour by News 5's Marian Ali is this week's edition of Belize on Reel.
This circle made of sticks and wire is called a beach trap. It is one of 11 that sit in the sea near Sartaneja, Corozal district, and is the chosen method for commercial fishing in the Corozal Bay Wildlife Sanctuary. This type of fishing is agreed upon between fisher folk in that area and the Sartaneja Alliance for Conservation and Development, formed in 2012. Since then, the alliance has been able to compromise with the commercial fishermen who rely on the sanctuary as a means of livelihood.
Ultimately, depending on what they do as fishermen is what will ensure their livelihood in the long term, right? And so in that period of time, we were able to get the fishermen organized. They have a beach trap association. We were able to meet some compromise with them in terms of them agreeing some of these conditions that will allow them to continue using the resource, but conditional, with some mechanisms and some interventions that will ultimately benefit them as fishermen. And so we are at the point right now where we have signed an agreement with the fishermen. Well, actually the fishermen with the government of Belize for access to the reserve.
To access the area, the fishermen must use beach traps as their method of fishing. Accompanied by a ranger, Eliseo Canul went to harvest the mature fishes that were in his trap. He said that it wasn't difficult for him to accept this type of fishing because it was already a part of his family's tradition.
If I throw the smalls, that will grow and more fish, and then I my children's, they will
Have fish.
yes, my children's and other children's will when they grow, they will have fish right here in the bay.
But there are fishermen among you, among your membership or your numbers, that don't do that. There are fishermen who go to the market and sell the small sprats $2 or $3 a pound. How discouraging is that?
Well, I know. See that that is good. I will not do that because I want to sell pretty fish, big fish.
While the day's catch for Eliseo might not add up to a hefty sum, the fishes were mature and the catch was enough for him to purchase food for his family and fuel to return tomorrow for more fish. The sustainable method of extracting marine resources is one that the Ministry of Sustainable Development not only supports but pushes for, as Minister of Sustainable Development Orlando Habet shared.
Government can't do it. We'll be doing the policies and passing the legislation, but we depend largely on the population, the people, to have the education, to have the knowledge and appreciate especially what we have so that they can also help in the conservation. One of the things that we miss many times is that we're looking at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and we look at all of them, and many times we forget goal number 17, which is that of partnership and collaboration. I am not one of the persons who believe that everything has to be policed. Many times when you pass laws and it's being policed and people are behind you, that's when you have sort of retaliation from the people and they don't do what they're supposed to do because you're pressuring them. But once they know that they will do it because they understand the why, and that is why the education information is so important.
Because there are fishermen who engage in illegal fishing, the effort has to be more than educational. Executive Director of the Sartaneja Alliance for Conservation and Development, Joel Verde, says spot checks and enforcement are important.
Anything commercially that is outside of the traps is illegal. In fact, that's the major issue we have, right? So, for example, we have sometimes Mennonites accessing the area along the Balam Jungle Estates in the eastern coast, where we always have issues with gillnets there. In fact, every surveillance or every patrol that we do in that area yields the confiscation of gillnets and so forth. We also have a site here, which is the Waribite area, which also have land access, and we also have an issue of gillnets there. But those are primarily considered our hotspots, and that's primarily where our targeted surveillance seeks to address.
A couple miles further east of the fish traps is an area called Cayo Falso, comprising of two tiny islets, habitat for frigate birds and manatees. This site also forms a part of the 278 square miles that make up the sanctuary. Rangers frequent the area to ensure that the pristine environment is preserved for the wildlife that inhabit there. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.
Unknown Belize, a video-recorded film shot over a period of a year featuring nature at its finest in Belize, is a documentary presented in 4 parts of an hour each. The production uncovers Belize's wonders while exploring our political, economic, and environmental challenges. Sponsored by a non-government organization called the European Nature Trust, Unknown Belize has been well received at its first presentation in London. Sean Quillen, known for his culinary abilities, was an integral part of the film's production, as was Tom Hines, who worked as a cinematographer on Festa Films, shared details of their production, Unknown Belize, produced by Festa Films.
We got a call from a guy, Paul Lister, who is a founder of TENT, which is the European Nature Trust. And so he came to Belize because, of course, Belize is trending for all its NGOs and all the 60% of the wildlife being protected and all these beautiful things. So they have an interest to come to Belize and film it. They were coming with these a lot of cameras and stuff, but then they found Festa Films. And then they brought a presenter, and then I came along. And what better way, I tell you, I started talking for the accent. I tell you, boy, I know sound good to talk English, so better I talk my Creole. And I be the one, or we, as Belizeans, with Festa and myself, be the one to showcase what we know as Belize. The end product is a wonderful editing documentary.
It's very much a new thing for Belize because production companies have come and gone, but they've never used local crews. They may use one or two people here or there, but this is the first of its kind where it's shot by a local production company, 2 cameras and a drone, and a presenter from Belize, and it's completely new and one of a kind, and now it's being premiered in London, and hopefully at some point it could be premiered in Belize too. But yeah, we're very, very proud of it. The reception here seems to have been really good. Everybody got up and applauded it at the end, and it's something that we're very proud of, and something that hopefully we could gain momentum with and move on and try and do more stuff like this. Financer and the European Nature Trust is based in London, and I think it worked well as just to bring it to a wider audience first. I think the intention is to have it shown in Belize after this, but I think it's just the end goal is just to have it to wider audience, and hopefully more people here can donate further to the NGOs and that kind of stuff.
The problems that forest fires have created primarily along the George Price Highway in recent months should soon be a thing of the past with the onset of the rainy season. Today, Minister of Disaster Risk Management Orlando Habet said that a lot of the fires were extinguished with the first rains, but that others have posed more of a challenge for the ministry and the people who live and work in those communities.
We had a lot of these small fires that were ignited through farmers, and possibly there was no control. We had the issue of some fires out in the mountain pine ridge in Chiquibul, which we had to work along with other agencies. The NGOs who do the management of some of these protected areas were also involved. We have established a fire management unit within the forest department, and we are collaborating with the larger NGOs. I think Monkey Bay also has some professionals there who were assisting us, and we are collaborating with them. And we have been offered help from other countries like Costa Rica. I think we are liaising with the people in Guatemala, and I think we also have some collaboration and offered assistance through the U.S. Embassy, I think a regional program that they have. So in that regard, I think we're doing well, but we still have to ask farmers not to burn when it is too hot, when the wind is not appropriate for the burning. It's not the fire itself, but it is the smoke and that pollution, and it affects a lot of people. So
when we return, full rollout of new curriculum for upcoming school year.
Prime Minister Briceño's government recently stopped Vulcan Materials from mining near Dales Point, Manatee.
That area has a lot of history for Belize, and so obviously, and also environmentally is important. That's a very important catchment area for water. So we don't think it's in the national interest of Belize, and it ends there.
But PM Briceño will allow for an EIA granted on the basis of a fraudulent definitive agreement that allows Buscalis to dredge 8.5 million cubic meters, an entire blue hole's worth of sediment, and allow Portico to build an entire artificial peninsula just 8 miles north of the Southern Lagoon Manatee Reserve and the Manatee River.
For sure you will have massive environmental damages. I mean, you're talking about animals or marine life, our picketed turtles, manatees, fishes, trees. Those will never be the same. And to what end? Why do we want to go down that road? The truth of the matter is that a wealthy multinational will just exploit our raw resources.
I am saying that I support the protection of the environment.
So why the double standard, Mr. Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister needs to come forward and make a lucid statement. A part of the job is public accountability.
Well, I can't believe the grill pan is whole, the grill. Well, don't worry about nothing. If we got a new one at the Belize Father's Day Fest.
Oh, that they happen again?
Yes, and this year,
Belize is giving 19% off store-wide. Yes, 19% off everything.
Why, we have for the bro.
But wait, don't forget, the race is still on.
The Belize 100 car race, where racers will once again compete to claim the top prize and become the champion.
Anyways, look on the time. If you have a grill, I need to go.
Alright, yeah, bro. New whip?
Push the start.
Alright, big time.
Boy, Kagali push the start, man.
The Belize Father's Day Fest, Saturday, June 17th, Belize Superstore. This one you don't want to miss.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
My Social Security. Your direct online access to all your Social Security information. 360 view of all your Social Security information. Registration services, benefits, contributions, and employer services at your fingertips. Enjoy all the new features with your My Social Security account. Register with SSB. Submission of benefit claims. Submission of contribution statements. View contribution record. Enjoy all your My Social Security feature at ssbportal.org.bz. Social Security at your fingertips.
Enjoy endless entertainment with NextGen TV, now available for everyone. NextGen TV is your all-in-one streaming app with over 200 channels of live content, all your live sports, news, and the shows you love. Replay and pause live TV. Enjoy premium Belizean entertainment. Keep up to the latest releases and stream high-quality movies and series on any device. NextGen TV is compatible with Android devices, Amazon Fire devices, iOS, Apple TV, Roku, and Tizen devices, so you can enjoy your favorite content whenever and wherever you want. Contact us for your subscription through our dedicated WhatsApp number, 660-7873. NextGen TV, the ultimate way to watch TV.
Tonight, we continue our look at the Belize 2023 polling survey, an exercise that was conducted with 1,066 voters between February and April of this year. The survey is a mixed sample to represent both the political and population makeup of Belize. Viking Strategies has been carrying out surveys in Belize since 2009. In tonight's analysis, we look at government's effectiveness in helping Belizeans across the country. Here's what we found out.
First thing that we asked about the government is, does the government help all of Belize? We gave them 4 options. 20% said the government does a good job of addressing issues facing people in the entire country. 20% said they do a good job in Belize City, but not elsewhere. 17 said the government does a good job addressing issues facing people outside of Belize City. 43% said the government isn't doing a good job in either place. If I were in the government of Belize, I would say, well, the good news is at least they don't think we're favoring any region. The bad news is almost half of Belizeans don't think we're doing a good job with any region, which is a little bit of an issue. What is the most important issue? Again, at the point that we're doing this, it's all economics, and it's primarily cost of living, okay? And I get that the government likely, there are international factors in the cost of living situation. Obviously, we've seen cost of living in the United States go up. I think that's true in Europe as well, has had high inflation. But the reality is, I don't think that excuse for voters really cuts it. They want to understand what's going to be done.
According to the results of the survey on Belize's economic situation, Viking Strategies says the People's United Party government is not being acknowledged for its efforts at turning around the economy.
Economic situation in Belize is better than it was under the old government at the same point in their last term, but the PUP government isn't really getting credit for voters from it. It begs the question, are they not doing enough to address the problem, or are they failing to inform people? And the areas where PDP has an advantage over the government impact the lives of individual Belizeans less than where they are perceived as not performing well, right? Cost of living impacts everybody in this room. Quality of education impacts only those of you who have kids who are getting an education, or you yourself if you're getting an education. Immediately, anyway. So, tourism. We asked people, how important do you think tourism is for people like you? As I said, Belizeans overwhelmingly, 76% believe it's very important or somewhat important. So Belizeans get that tourism matters. And these numbers are up from the last time we asked it, which was 2015.
Cabinet has approved the amendment of a section of the Criminal Code as it relates to HIV transmission from mother to child. As it currently stands, an HIV-positive person knowingly engaging in risky sexual behavior and infecting another carries a penalty. And that includes mother-to-child transmission. It was added to the Criminal Code back in the early 2000s, but now the Ministry of Human Development, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Wellness, has proposed that it be removed. That cabinet paper will have to be tabled before the House of Representatives, and Human Development Minister Dolores Valderramos Garcia spoke about the amendment and that it does not excuse reckless behavior.
22 years ago, we passed a law making it a criminal offense to what we would say knowingly transmit HIV. Now, back then, HIV was quite frightening because it was before the days of the antiretroviral medications and before we learned more about the human rights approach, as we call it, So we did pass an amendment to the criminal code making it an offense to know that you have HIV and to be engaging in risky sexual behavior, So we went ahead and did that. But so many years later, we have come to realize not only that it was unnecessary, but also that it flies in the face of modern human rights norms, especially where it comes to the health issues. So the Ministry of Human Development, myself, and also Minister Kevin Bernard and the Ministry of Health, we decided, of course, based on the recommendation of partners, that it is really time to remove that criminalizing of the HIV, because what it did was it attracts unnecessary attention and further stigmatizes the issue of HIV. I mean, there are other sexually transmitted infections, which, are in the mix, if we could say, but also it wasn't necessary to cause the stigma and discrimination further on the HIV. Other sections of the criminal code can suffice where somebody does something very reckless or deliberate. But in relation to what has happened now in the evolution of the fight against HIV and other sexually transmitted infections, it is not necessary to have that law now, because for the certification, as they call it, and the validation that we are removing the mother-to-child transmission of HIV, then in terms of the international norms, we have to remove that penal provision. So we're very pleased to do it, and I can report that Cabinet has approved, and it's a joint paper of the Ministry of Human Development and the Ministry of Health.
Curriculum reform is coming to the education system, and the 2022-2023 school year was used to pilot new competency-based learning in some schools. Since the beginning of this year, countrywide consultations have been taking place with stakeholders to get feedback on where there may be need for tweaks to acquire the desired learning outcomes. That process is almost complete and ready for full rollout for the upcoming school year in September. Minister of Education Francis Fonseca says that the reformation will have a fundamentally positive impact on the education system.
It's a critically important area, the national curriculum framework, the new national curriculum framework. So, as you rightly said, we've been engaged in national consultations, widespread consultations. So we started at the primary school level with the primary school curriculum. That was completed. Then we moved on to the secondary school curriculum. That too has been completed. The consultation process has been completed. And now the team is engaged at the tertiary level with tertiary institutions. Because we want, of course, the curriculum to be, all-inclusive from preschool to university. So it's been, I think, well received. Any transition, of course, faces obstacles and challenges. But by and large, it has been well received by managements and most importantly, by teachers. So, as you said, it's a transition year. We'll fully evaluate it over the summer, and make whatever tweaks we have to do, make whatever amendments have to be made to the framework. But we feel very good about where we are with it. As I said, it's been very positively received, and we believe it will have a fundamentally positive impact on our education system moving forward.
Up next, Ministry of Health and Wellness launched National Nutrition Policy.
8 miles. That's all that separates the Southern Lagoon Manatee Reserve and its outlet, the Manatee River, from the dredging, the building of an artificial peninsula, and the docking of Oasis-class cruise ships. How did David Gegg get approval for his EIA, where other port projects didn't? When he's building so close to a protected area, dredging more than any other project, and docking ships 5 times larger than the Titanic, all in the marine life corridor of a protected species. Why did the Department of the Environment approve Portico's environmentally disastrous plan when they cancelled all others? Why did the Prime Minister push to get the definitive agreement passed in the House?
I can tell you why. Ask him. You can't deny it. His good friend has all the land. He has all the land. I have long said that Portico was the favored port project, the perceived, and now we can say the actual prejudices suffered by other port projects.
Here are 6 easy changes that you can make around your home to cut down on your average electricity usage. Check that all electrical appliances are working efficiently. Use energy-saving light bulbs such as LED. They are very bright, have a lower wattage requirement, and use less energy. Unplug appliances not in use. Iron clothes sparingly. Place the refrigerator thermostat at medium. Wash clothes on the shortest cycle and wait for a full load. Washing machines use the same amount of energy despite the size of the load, and choosing a short cycle is more energy efficient. Belize Electricity Limited advises you to save energy and save more.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
Today, the Belize City Council organized a soft launch of a recently installed traffic light system at the corners of St. Thomas and St. Joseph Streets in Belize City. It's an area that is oftentimes congested with vehicular traffic, and there have been a number of accidents at the intersection. There are several schools in the area, and the stoplights will assist students as they walk to school. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
If you have ever traveled along St. Thomas Street near its intersection with St. Joseph Street, there's usually a bottleneck. It's highly trafficked by students who traverse the area for school.
In this area, in the mornings in rush hour, in the evenings in rush hour, you would see the chaos that has been out here. And you know, many accidents has happened right in this intersection here. And people have been clamoring whether the city council's solution. Well, we have a manual person stand up in the middle of the street every day, 365 days for the year with a hand in the air. No. Roundabouts serve its purpose as well. I commend roundabouts. But in our culture like Belize City or Belize, where we tend to have this, not comply with laws, and you have to be disciplined in roundabout, you know, you have to understand the law.
The installation of stoplights, including pedestrian crossings, is to provide a safe path for students and improve the flow of vehicular traffic in the area. Mayor Bernard Wagner, along with a few city councillors, organized a demonstration for students on how to operate the new system.
We have put in the type of mechanism. We're really child-friendly, because we don't want a sustainable child-friendly municipality. And all of these things what we do in our city that we really drive child-friendly type of activities and try to change the culture that we are about our children and having the opportunity for the kids to be able to go at that spot there and press that button and that button activate, and after a while it tell the motorist stop. We want the opportunity to pass, and that is why we have that mechanism in place. It's a red stop, green, so you are driving in a habit, you are changing habits, and it's about a light system telling you red stop, green go in a roundabout. It's more left up to the individual understanding the traffic laws and complying with the laws. Now when you are saying red, green, yellow, it begin to change habit, and that's the way we want to change in this city and in this country change, the culture change, habits change, behaviors of people, and we can't start with the whole people like me and you. We don't set in our ways. We have to start with the kids, and that's why we have the kids out here today. Because after 6 years, then kids will get used to this type of systems and apparatus.
But is the introduction of the stoplight purely aesthetic and will not relieve the traffic congestion?
That is why our technical team run their tests. They had been running these tests during peak hours in the mornings and in the afternoons and in the evenings. They have been running these tests, and sure, there have been little areas, but so they have tried to tweak it and get that timing done as best as possible. But the one process, and so we continue to work towards reaching the optimum area where we want to reach. We have tried to consult with all the business people in the area. We had a good session with them, and our main thing to them was that the city is always only concerned about on-street parking. We can't concern ourselves about off-street parking. Off-street parking is left up to the business owner. They have to ensure that when you are doing a business that you have adequate parking. Unfortunately, that was not carried out in this area. Some of the businesses do have off-street parking. But what we have tried to do is to work along with those business hosts in the area, the YWCA, the meat shop here, the Hoy Eye Center. So what we have done is to turn that street there, I can't recall the name right now, it helped me, push the crescent into a one-way street. And so now parking would be allowed on one side of that street.
The value of the project is over $100,000. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Mayor Bernard Wagner also fielded a question on the stoplight at the intersection of Central American Boulevard and Vernon Street. The lighting mechanism at this crossroad was damaged and twisted out of place by Hurricane Lisa last year. 8 months later, and it still has not been fixed. Mayor Wagner says that the particular traffic light system falls under the responsibility of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, but that as the municipal government, they will try to see how it can be rectified.
We look at it because they not fall under our jurisdiction, not Central American Boulevard lights is under the MIDH, but we want to work along with MIDH. Our engineer has been working along with them to get it, and I'm telling my people, just go and fix the light. We can't concern about that being under the MIDH jurisdiction. We still have to ensure that we provide safety for our children. And for you are right that light has been twisted for a long time. Even me, when I reach here after the bend round curve, you see, when it changed. So we'll work on it, and I promise you that we will certainly get it addressed within the next week.
Over the past week, there have been several power outages, and as recent as Monday night, there was a low power surge in parts of the city before electricity was lost for residents. Today, however, Belize Electricity Limited hosted a virtual press conference to discuss matters concerning the utility company's contingency plans to provide unimpeded services to the country. The concern stems from the Blair Athol Power Company Limited, declaring that their power plant will be extendedly unavailable to provide to the national grid. Now, Babcock and BEL's gas turbine plant serve as the main backup if the supply of electricity from CFE Mexico is lost. The issue is compounded by the need for critical repairs on the transmission line that connects CFE to BEL's central substation at Mile 8 on the George Price Highway. Today, BEL's General Manager for Energy Supply and Transmission Division, Jose Moreno, speaks about the vulnerable state of electricity services to the country.
Our system is in a present state of vulnerability that we haven't seen before, and to assure the customers that, if there's any brief interruption of power, that BEL has put in place contingency measures to make sure that we restore it as soon as possible. Okay. There's two conditions that are really putting a little bit of concern on our part, which is the vulnerability of the transmission line that connects us to Mexico and the shortfall in generation, in-country generation, that we have to deal with the growing need of electricity in the country. In the north, we have a situation where we had already started doing maintenance work on that line. And because we interrupted that flow of supply, we were depending almost 90% on our in-country resources. And then we had this situation with one of our biggest plants in the south. And because of that, we had to pull back those works. And with the recent storms and the change in weather that is happening right now, we're a little bit concerned that, the vulnerability of that line can cause the system to collapse, right? As we have seen a couple times already. I know that normally our customers are not used to having, so frequent interruptions. And we don't want them to think that, the sky is falling, right? So our main message is, just be prepared. BEL is, we have taken steps to mitigate those conditions. And that if they can assist us in managing the peak demand, especially during the afternoon hours, that will go a long way.
BEL is asking customers to assist by practicing energy conservation where possible to alleviate excess demand for electricity. 60% of Belize's population is overweight and 30% is obese, according to statistics from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. In an effort to improve Belize's nutrition approach and promote healthier lifestyles, the ministry has launched an ambitious national nutrition policy. The policy speaks to intersectoral and multi-sectoral approaches to promote nutrition and healthy eating. This is being done in an effort to combat chronic diseases that are among the leading causes of death. News 5's Paul Lopez was present for the launch. He filed the following report.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness today launched the National Nutrition Policy at an event in Belize City. The policy is described as a comprehensive approach to nutrition to fight increasing rates of chronic diseases and nutritional imbalances.
And I think that it displays the commitment of the government, and the Ministry of Health, being the leading agency within this, is for us to ensure that we could promote healthy living. As I mentioned in my message, it's not just the matter of living, but it is the way we eat, the things we eat that makes us healthy. There's a task force set up working with Ministry of Agriculture for us to promote healthy living. We need to reduce the non-communicable diseases that are affecting us. Malnutrition and undernutrition leads to these same health issues that you talk about: hypertension, diabetes, cancer.
Their nutrition, their health and wellness.
Francis Fonseca, the Minister of Education, was present at this morning's launch to give his ministry's support for the policy. He shared that the Ministry of Education's goal is to ensure students across the country have access to a nourishing meal daily while at school.
We have launched the National Healthy Start Feeding Program, which is an effort by the government of Belize to provide, a healthy meal to all of our students across the country, at least one healthy meal, a nutritious meal. And so that's what this nutrition policy is all about. Of course, this is for the entire country. Belize has been documented in the policy. We are facing a crisis really when it comes to what they call the NCDs, these non-communicable diseases. As you all know very well, we see it every day. People are in desperate need of health care because of chronic diseases.
Dr. Fidel Cuellar of the Ministry of Health and Wellness further explained that the policy will strengthen Belize's nutrition and food security regulatory and operational framework. The policy's main objectives are to increase awareness and promote healthy eating.
They are to reduce malnutrition in all its forms. And not only in all its forms, it's during the entire life course. We're looking to combat malnutrition from the time of conception to the time when you get old and you pass on. Each one of these phases, nutrition is extremely important to guarantee a good life, a healthy life, productivity. We need to teach. We need to learn how to eat healthy. We need access to food. But not only just access, we need food that are free from illnesses.
According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, quote, food security exists when all people at all time has physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, end quote. We asked the Minister of Health about the higher cost of healthy food options when compared to the cost of most unhealthy foods, a reality faced by many Belizeans.
We need to look at the food basket. Because when you look, let me point this out, because why I asked that, I had a discussion with my directors last week, and we were talking about the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of, yes, but what are our people going to eat? What are our people rushing to eat? The ramen and those things that are not healthy. So we need to really take a serious look at what we are making available at cheap prices, which are unhealthy food. Let us make the local grown foods that are better for our people, the healthy foods, more affordable to the Belizean society, and then tax those unhealthy food. That's my perspective. But I think we need to really, like I said, the policy talks about what we should do and what we ought to do as a country and as a people and individually as well in order for us to live healthy.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
The Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health has also partnered to present a paper to Cabinet that will see the sale of sugary drinks banned in schools across the country. Francis Fonseca, the Minister of Education, informed us that legislation is yet to be drafted and that those regulations will provide for a phasing out of the sale of sugary drinks in school cafeterias. Here is how he explained it.
We have tabled that paper, a joint paper between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health at Cabinet. So it's now a question of getting the legislation prepared, but our objective is to ban the sale of sugary drinks on our school campuses. That's the objective. Obviously, it has to be phased in because we have to work with our school partners. Many of them have all sorts of agreements and contracts. We have to work with them. But that's the objective, and that will be the basis of the legislation that we will table in the National Assembly to make sure that we put an end once and for all to these sugary drinks in our schools.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available at channel5belize.com, on our Facebook and on YouTube. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, good night.